The Gauteng Education Department has apologized to Premier Panyaza Lesufi for what he called a misunderstanding during the opening of a new school in Garankuwa, north of Tshwane, on Wednesday. An image of Lesufi with girls carrying dignity packs was posted on social media and elicited outrage. In a tweet, Action SA President Herman Mashaba said, described it as a public relations exercise gone completely wrong. The dignity of our young women compromised, used as a PR exercise by a shameless politician, Mashaba said. The department said there was an unfortunate perception that girl pupils were being paraded while receiving dignity packs. It said during the launch of the Mapenane Secondary School, the girl pupils seen on stage with the premier were not the beneficiaries, but were instead representatives of pupils who would be receiving and benefiting from these dignity packs. When the premier was invited to the event, he was handing over dignity. When the premier was invited to the event, the handing over of dignity packs was not on the program. Therefore, the premier was not scheduled to participate in the handover and said dignity packs. We apologize for the misconception that this gesture caused. Department spokesperson Steve Mabona said, dignity packs generally contain sanitary towels and other necessities. Jumping the gun will get you that. As we continue, Nokeri, who is Ndavi Mokeri, Miss South Africa, has made the Miss Universe top 16. Nokeri was tipped as one of the favorites going into the contest at the New Orleans Memorial Convention Center on Sunday morning. She made up the top 16 alongside Colombia, Spain, Venezuela, India, Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago, Peru, Canada, Portugal, Laos, Dominican Republic, United States of America, Australia, Haiti, and Puerto Rico. Venezuela, USA, Curacao, and the Dominican Republic made the top 5 of the pageant. USA's Rabani Gabriel won the pageant, succeeding Harnaz Sadhu of India. 3 South Africans have won the Miss Universe crown. That is Margaret Gardner in 1978, Demi Lee Nell Peters Thibault in 2017, and Zozibini Tunzi in 2019. So the competition continues, and definitely, always represented are we. The high levels of pollution in the city center of Johannesburg and areas surrounding it has been a major concern for residents who often share pictures and videos of waste filling the streets and the pavements. Thibault Touch shared a picture supposedly of a Johannesburg street overrun with garbage bags and water, urging for those in power to fix the mess. Please, City of Johannesburg, let's fix this, he pleaded. The South African Human Rights Commission recently announced an inquiry into the environmental pollution and raw sewage pouring into the Wemapan Lake just outside the city center. It follows complaints from local businesses and media reports that the lake is being heavily polluted and covered by a shiny, oily layer. Those who complained said there is also a stench of hydrogen sulfide in the area, and the pollution has affected the local community, businesses, and those who use the lake for recreation. Touch's plea came weeks after former Minister Tito Mboweni shared pictures of his tour of Hillbrow in central Johannesburg, complaining of the filth he saw. He claimed the city was spending too much money on coalition politics and had created a breeding ground for deadly diseases. Remove the rubbish for the sake of the health of the citizens, he said. Clean the city, it's filthy. The bubonic plague might visit us. And I close quote. If we want a policy that will keep the very margins of our society in perpetual poverty, the establishment of permanent temporary slum settlements is hard to beat. Indeed, the outcome is a little bit different to forced removals of apartheid. Since we cannot build houses of brick and mortar for those who need them, South Africans need a total overhaul of its housing policy. Unused land in urban areas should be released for occupation as stands with title deeds for a nominal charge. Land in South Africa remains contested, a key flashpoint in land invasion in urban areas as people living in the township backyard seek a place of their own. Section 26.1 of the Constitution states that everyone has the right to access the adequate housing. Yet 26 years after the Constitution was adopted, the attempt to orderly manage South African human settlements has failed. Informal settlements now all but ring the cities and about every town, mine, or other center of economic activity. Unidentified assailants set ablaze the residence of a Nigerian Catholic priest in the northwest Nigeria, burning one priest to death and shooting and injuring another who had tried to escape, shaking faith in the security authorities of Africa's most populous country ahead of the scheduled elections. The motives of the armed attackers, locally known as bandits, were unknown, but Nigeria's Muslim-dominated north is rife with jihadists who have been fighting to establish a caliphate of some kind for 14 years. The country's north has also seen kidnappings for ransom and killings by armed guards or armed gangs recently, amid growing fears that the 25 February presidential election might not be held in certain areas. The bandits failed to access the residence of Father Isaac Achi in Kafinikoro village in Niger State, and the early hours of Sunday, and thus resorted to setting his house ablaze. Another priest, identified as Father Collins, was shot while he was trying to flee a burning house, a police spokesman said. The surviving priest was rushed to hospital for treatment. Carl Niehaus says his new political organization will not take funding from any big corporation to avoid being captured. The radical economic transformation movement was launched earlier this month. According to Niehaus, for now, the organization will be registered as a non-profit pending a decision on whether it will contest in next year's provincial and national government elections. Niehaus, who was expelled from the ANC's in December, says they want members' contributions to sustain the organization so that it can remain independent. We do not want the radical economic transformation movement to be funded by one or anyone of a few big companies, which in South Africa context will inevitably turn out to be white monopoly capitalist companies, Niehaus said. Prince Harry has been invited to reunite with Prince William at the relaunch of a nightclub where the brothers once partied. Bougie in London, once major celebrity hotspot in the city, announced it will reopen its doors after closing in 2014. Speaking about how they want the Duke of Sussex, who's 38 years old, in the city, announced and will reopen its doors. So they want the Duke of Sussex to be the guest of honor in the wake of admissions of his memoir Spare about his life and as that of the so-called party prince and his drug-taking. Bougie's co-owner Carlo Carrero said the club would like him at the grand opening via the metaverse. Jokes died in a car accident in 2021. His widow, Mamelo Lami Mokane, has reportedly not been able to pay rent for more than 9 months and had difficulty putting food on the table after asking for donations. According to Drum magazine, Mokane has been grappling to attain the late musician's estate. I've been in and out of court fighting for my husband's estate so that I can afford to take care of my children. In a statement shared, she said that the label said it had paid a significant amount to the late musician's estate. Any disbursements are the responsibility of the estate as authorized by the executed and master of the High Court. Kalawa's responsibility is to cooperate with the estate in the process and pay any amounts that are due to the estate, which we have done, they said. Any further amounts are subject to valuation process that are underway. These processes will take time. We are sympathetic to Lami's position, all of Mjokes' beneficiaries. We hope that through the administration of the estate, the first payment that we have made will enable the estate to assist Lami in the dispute with her landlord. The Gauteng High Court is due to give its ruling this morning on whether President Cyril Ramaphosa will in fact have to appear in a criminal court in a private prosecution brought by former President Jacob Zuma. While Zuma successfully convicting Ramaphosa is a legal impossibility, the case to the fore for the case, excuse me, the case brings to the fore the relationship between the two presidents and asks more questions about Zuma's real intentions. The legal move suggests that in fact, Jacob Zuma is focused on his own personal agenda and in weakening anyone who's trying to renew the ANC, especially Ramaphosa as the man at the center of the movement. It may also be that he's trying to demonstrate some residual political power, despite the fact that the ANC's recent conference shows that his constituency has shrunk into a vanishingly small space. Zuma's main claim against Ramaphosa is laughably weak, they say. He is claiming he has the right to privately prosecute Ramaphosa as an accessory after the fact for failing to act against National Prosecuting Authority Billy Downer. It is, of course, a legal nonsense. Ramaphosa has no power over the NPA, and the institution is meant to manage its own affairs. It does not appear to have issued a legal certificate that Zuma would need for his case to proceed. The family of Bianca Sensori is happy about Kanye West's new marriage. Kanye West's wife's family are super happy about their wedding. The 46-year-old rapper reportedly tied the knot with Bianca Sensori in a private ceremony in Beverly Hills earlier this week. Though they haven't obtained a marriage certificate to make their union legal, but Yeezy's architectural designers' loved ones are very excited by the news. Bianca's sister, Angelina Sensori, told Australia's Herald Sun newspaper, "It's very exciting for both my sister and my family, but we have some privacy for the time being." And another relative, Alyssa Sensori, told the outlet she is super happy for them both. Friends say the 27-year-old Bianca, who divides her time between Los Angeles and Melbourne in Australia, is a quiet, normal girl. A source said that everyone's freaking out. She and I were in much different circles. I didn't even recognize her. The story broke that Kanye, who split from Kim Kardashian in February 2021 after 7 years of marriage, had exchanged vows with Bianca on a story on Friday. The couple were pictured together at the Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills this week, and he was wearing a wedding ring. Sources told the outlet that the jewelry signifies the 45-year-old star's commitment to Bianca. Meanwhile, Kim recently admitted she is worried that people will be scared to date her because Kanye, the father of her children, 9, Saint 7, Chicago 4, and 3-year-old Sam, isn't the easiest person to deal with. Finally, and further afield in this beautiful continent of Africa, Sudanese authorities sought together a broader consultation base to finalize a roadmap to democracy on Thursday, amid anti-junta demonstrations. Signatories of the latest framework agreement met in Khartoum. The meeting outlined the highlights of the first of several planned workshops aimed at paving the way for a more inclusive peace deal. General workshops were held during the conference that discussed 8 papers, which were corruption and empowerment over the 3 decades, the political consequence of dismantling the National Congress regime, and the experience of the Committee for Dismantling the June 30 regime, the announcing, communicating, and sharing with people during the dismantling process, the legal framework that controls the dismantling process of the 30 June regime, and the international standards and the principles that control the dismantling process, the African experience in dealing with corruption and asset recovery. He said that the process's main objective was to broaden the base consultations between the various Sudanese actors at this stage so that the final political agreement would represent not only the signing powers, but also the widest base of Sudanese people. Hundreds of protesters demonstrated at the time. They demanded the ouster of the military rulers who seized power in October 2021. They also rejected the framework agreement. The junta and the main pro-democracy group strike is a contested deal set to organize a gradual transfer of power to civilian leaders.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.
And that brings us to the conclusion of the moments in current affairs. The time right now, 8 minutes before 10 a.m. And this is Moment of Truth.
This